Hi, I'm Jean Nolte, editor at Fons & Porter.
And I'm Colleen Tauke. I'm the sewing specialist with Fons & Porter. In this tutorial, we will review the steps in cabin rows.
This is a quilt that I actually made. I saw this fabric line and thought it was fun. It's kind of a shabby chic look. And so it's a log cabin quilt, and hence the name cabin rows, because there's roses on the fabric. So this is made from a pack, actually I think it's 2 packs, of 2.5-inch strips. And 1 cream fabric for the centers of the block, and then of course some setting fabrics and border fabrics. So the first thing we're going to do is cut pieces for those log cabin blocks. And I am going to open these strips out, but I like to cut 3 or 4 fabrics at a time, just because it's faster.
And you're going to be cutting squares and rectangles, which are very easy to cut, so why not cut multiples?
Yeah, so you'd line up your strips, and I'm only going to
do a couple.
Well, we're just going to do 2 now, just for speed. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is trim off this end, because we don't want those selvages in our quilt. So I'm just going to come away, make sure there's sometimes little holes in the fabric too where they've stretched it when they're making it. We want to make sure we get rid of all of that and just trim off that end. So now we're going to need to turn the strips around.
Probably have a bigger cutting surface at home than you would here. So you keep everything organized.
Okay, so we need several, 4 to be exact, different sizes from each fabric. And so what we're doing is like cutting a whole block from each fabric and then rearranging them and putting them together. So the first thing we need is a 2.5-inch square, because these are 2.5-inch strips. So we're going to cut that. And this is a little trick that I've learned.
Sometimes
it
takes
so many
some things to keep us organized. Those little sticky dots are great. So
we need some 2.5-inch squares. From each one of these strips, you need
4.5.
Some 4.5-inch pieces, and those are going to be B. You need some 6.5-inch pieces. Now, when I'm cutting these, I like to kind of line up a line along the bottom of the strip too, to just help keep them really straight.
Right.
Okay, so
2.5, 4.5, 6.5, and I believe
finally we need an 8.5. Okay, and your instructions will tell you how many of each you need. So I'm going to have to turn my ruler the other direction to get that 8.5. Oops.
It's kind of easy because everything's in increments 2 inches each time.
2 inches bigger.
And it gives you great variety in this quilt, so you get to use all those wonderful florals.
Okay, and you would also be cutting 2.5-inch squares from your cream fabric.
And if you notice, each of the blocks we're going to create has a little kind of cream-colored base on it.
So, speaking of blocks, here's the pieces for one. So I'm going to lay it out first to make sure we've got everything we need. And you'll notice that there's matching pieces. Oops, we're going to need to move down here a little bit. So there's 2 of this blue and white print, 2 of this yellow print, and
they
then
make kind of an L shape within the block.
Right, so you have kind of elbows. So we're going to start in the center
and work our way out.
So I'll just keep handing you pieces, and you can keep sewing. We'll have a block done in no time.
1/4-inch seam is all it's going to be put these together. So we're just putting 2 edges together. The big thing here is to make sure that you stitch the next section on in the right place.
All right, so I had that blue one, the print one on the top here.
Just like this.
Okay, so this one then will go on this side right there.
Exactly.
So,
why do I say this? Why do I say stay organized? Maybe I've made a block or 2 wrong before. So you can learn from our little oops.
So she's just finger pressing here, partly for speed, but that's such a short little seam. It's probably okay. You probably want to press for real, and at least after each row.
Each round, exactly. Because as you add that second piece, the pieces get longer.
Right, so
then we would open up.
That's going to fit in there. So what you want to do on these blocks is always press away from the center. So these pieces will press that way, these will that way, go that way. And I'm going to give that a quick press.
If you don't press between each of the pairs that you add, your block is going to get a little warped and not stay nice and square. So I would say at least in between each round as you add them.
So now you're ready to add the next round. Basically, you're piecing in alphabetical order. So this was an A piece, this was a B piece. Here's your next B piece, and then your C. This is a C, this is a D. So you'd go ahead and finish piecing those.
Okay.
So
you're going to create a variety of blocks like that, using up all of those wonderful florals.
Now,
once you have all those blocks created, though, there's something else going on in this quilt, Jean.
We still need some setting pieces. So we're going to use a special ruler to cut the setting triangles for this quilt. It's called the diagonal sets ruler. And the nice thing about this is that it has the instructions printed right on it. I know that we're making 8-inch blocks. So I look here to where it says 8-inch block, and this little number here says 6 1/4, and that's how wide I would cut my strip.
Yep.
That's for corner setting triangles. If you look here, this is for the side setting triangles, and if I look to where it says 8-inch block and come over here, that's 6 1/4.
So the strips should be cut 6
Same size strips for both kinds of triangles. So we're going to always open your strip out because it's just more efficient. You could stack a couple of strips if you need a lot of these triangles. So the first thing you want to do is straighten the end of your fabric,
Take
and
the
I've already
selvage
done that. You don't want selvages in your patchwork. So then I'm going to cut the corner setting triangles first.
The outside 4 corners.
Okay, I'm going to line up the edge of the ruler with the cut edge. There's a little yellow tip on this ruler. It's going to stick out above the fabric.
You haven't made a mistake. It's supposed to
extend. It's supposed to. And then the 8-inch block line is going to go along the bottom of this strip. I'm going to cut that. And there's one of my corner setting triangles. Now I'm going to cut side setting triangles. And I'm going to put the 8-inch block line on the edge of the strip.
There's no need to recut that one side because it's perfect already.
It's the perfect angle. I'm going to line up the angled line of the ruler with the angled cut we have. This little teeny black tip is going to stick out.
Extends.
And then I'm going to just cut along this side of the ruler. Nope. Let's leave that here for just a second.
You're going to
so
cut
there's
some
a side
more.
setting triangle. Then to cut the next one, you're just going to flip your ruler around, put the 8-inch line along the bottom of the strip. You're going to cut on this side and keep flipping until you have enough of them cut for your
and there's even a neat little diagram on this tool along the bottom, and it will show you exactly how you flip that ruler back and forth.
And you know what's going to happen when you get to the end of the strip and you can't cut another side setting triangle, there's going to be a perfect piece to cut
your
another outer triangle at the other end of the strip.
Efficient use.
So now we have all of our setting pieces cut. We have a few blocks made just to show you what it's going to look like.
Because traditionally we put our quilts together in rows. And these are rows, but they're not horizontal rows or vertical rows. They're diagonal rows.
So we're going to pretend this is our whole quilt for now. So you need
outer corner.
A corner triangle up there.
An outer
corner triangle up here.
Another outer corner. All corners have, our quilts have 4 corners.
Right, so those are going to go there. Then you need
those larger triangles you cut, diagonal set.
One
go
of these
into the side.
in each hole here between. All right, now you're ready to join your quilt, and you're going to make this in diagonal rows. So starting here, this would be a diagonal row. Then you'd add this little corner piece onto that row. Then you would join this row and the next row, and so on until you get everything together, and that's the center of your quilt. This quilt has 2 borders, an inner border that's the same fabric as the setting triangles, which isn't very noticeable at a glance, but it just makes these blocks float.
Exactly, and finish it off with a large floral. Thanks for joining us today.
To see more of our videos, go to video.fonsandporter.com.